Hi, and welcome to this short introduction to HPH's Revit app. We've designed the app to help contractors with pricing, labor, and vendor integration challenges from the model. I want to start by explaining some general information about the app. First, it does not rely on fabrication, pricing, and labor tables. Second, after the model or the selection is synchronized, all of the data is stored and pulled from a cloud instance. Third, the app consists of two parts, one directly in Revit to synchronize the model. The second part is a separate app that can be used by anyone with an HPH license. No pricey seat of Revit required. This will allow project managers, for example, to use the model data for pricing, labor, and transactions. Lastly, fab parts with HPH codes assigned is all that is necessary to make this work. HPH offers consulting services to help with the application of HPH codes. Contractors can also use our sync website to look up codes if that's preferred. Now, let's dig into the fun stuff. Once the app is installed in Revit, you'll have the HPH option off your Revit ribbon. There are some initial settings that we would go through, but we'll jump right to the model synchronization. Just click the sync button and a wizard will guide you through synchronizing your model. The first step of the wizard is to assign a name, number, status, the pricing source, a little bit about the pricing source. So we're going to use the manufacturer price list here. But we also support options for pricing columns, for example. So it could be a project pricing agreement or a vendor pricing agreement, can all be loaded and used as the basis for the pricing of this model. Similar with labor columns, we have the MCA labor, the PHCC labor available to subscribers, and you can also adjust those labor units and create a different labor profile here. So we'll hit next, and next we'll be presented with linked files for this model. In this case, we only have one, but if you had multiple, they would be presented here so you could choose to include them or not with the synchronization. Similar with the services, and finally the levels. So we'll click Finish, and that will start the process of synchronizing all of that information in the model to our cloud instance in the back end here. And when that finishes, we can continue on. So once the project has synchronized to our cloud backend, the standalone app will launch, which is what we're looking at here. You can see the menu is on the left, and there's a lot of different settings and pricing columns and options you can adjust here. But we're going to view this particular project we just synchronized. So we're looking at all of the items in this grid here. There are lots of different ways to filter the information. You can filter it by level, by system, view the items there. You can group the items differently. So you can group them by Autodesk ID, which is your database ID, by our item code. You can view an ungrouped view. You can exclude ancillaries, or if you want to exclude by service type, you could exclude joints. So there's lots of different options here to view the data. We also have pricing and labor reports. So to view a report by level and system, we'll click this View Report button. And so you can see the total project cost and hours up here in the upper right. And then we break it down by system and level, the items on each, subtotaling along the way. And all of these reports and grid views are all exportable to PDF, Excel, text files, whatever you would need. If your company works with work orders and spools versus systems and levels, we have reports based on that as well. So you could see the work order and spool similar to the system and level. Another thing that contractors like to use our add-in for is to send out an RFQ to your vendor. So we can create an RFQ based on the system. So we'll do the chilled water system here. So you can just select all of the items in the chilled water, hit new RFQ, give this RFQ a name and a number. I'm going to leave what's defaulted to come up, and then you'd select your vendors. I've got default vendors here, so we'll just leave those as is. We'll create the RFQ. So it'll copy all the items from that system to an RFQ, and then we'll review that. So here we are in the RFQ. If you're ready to submit it, you just hit submit, click yes, and it will be sent off to the 2 vendors in my list. The vendors will receive an email notification, and if they're integrated vendors, all the work is done on that side for them. We'll map the items to their information and put it into their ERP system. They'll receive an email notification, and that's their cue to log in, review the quote in their system, make any adjustments to non-stocks or what have you, and send the quote back. So when the quote comes back, we'll review and compare the quotes and see which pricing we'd like to use on our project. So now we're back. We've got the RFQ list up here, which is the RFQ we just sent out, and we've received 2 quotes back that we'd like to compare, one from Bickford, one from EMS Supply. So we'll hit compare selected quotes. Then we can pick a price list, so that's the vendor pricing agreement or a project pricing agreement, for example, to compare with those quotes. So the quote compare lines up each quote, the per each price, and then the extended price for each, and then the pricing agreement. And along the bottom here are different, we'll call them cards for each quote to assign a priority. So I'm going to use Bickford first and then the EMS Supply quote. Or if you want to change that, simply drag and drop. So we'll just pre-apply the quote pricing here to see how it looks in the compare grid. And so you can see the selected vendor here changes a little bit. It's not all EMS Supply. That's because EMS Supply didn't quote everything. So Bickford is sprinkled in here as well. So to use this pricing as we have it, we just hit apply, and then we'll apply the pricing to the project items. And then when we do the reports, they'll be reflected with the new quoted pricing as well. So here you can see in the project grid, there's the price source column, which will indicate where the pricing is coming from. So you can see the EMS Supply quote, my pricing agreement, and then manufacturer list. So when we review the reports, that will be reflected. So you can see in the manufacturer price column here, we've got EMS Supply, we've got Bickford. So the pricing will be applied to these reports that you can then export out, as I mentioned earlier, in a variety of formats. We also can make available kind of a direct connection. So you could pull to, say, a Power BI tool dashboard to use the data elsewhere. A few other things to quickly call out before we end this quick video. Similar to the RFQ we just went through, we have requisitions and purchase orders as a transaction for the procurement process. We also have kind of quick views of the information here. So if you want to quickly see items in your project that are discontinued or that don't have labor, we've kind of got those pre-built out so you can easily identify any items with issues in your project. In addition to Revit, we also support similar functionality for SMEP and QuoteSoft. And then through our Sync website, we can work with exports from other estimating packages such as AutoBid and FastPipe and those types of tools. So if you have any questions or interest in this functionality, please give us a call, 800-890-0820, or you can email support@harrisonpub.com. Have a great day.